You are looking at the highly anticipated 2022 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, redesigned everywhere you look. The front, the rear, the side, the inside. It is an entirely new car for 2022. And in case you're wondering, yeah, there was no 2021. Mitsubishi skipped the 2021 model year altogether because of the pandemic. And so the 2022s are already here and ready to be sold to Mitsubishi customers. This car, 5 inches longer than its predecessor. The wheelbase is the same, but the car overall, 5 inches longer. Still stuffed with tons of technology. The powertrain is the same, the engines are the same, but the redesigned styling really makes this car stand out compared to its competitors, things like the Mazda CX-5, the Honda CR-V, smaller compact cars. And the biggest change actually is out back. There is no split rear window any longer for 2022, which increases visibility. So today we'll give you a full tour of the inside, a full tour of the outside, get it out on the road and show you what it drives like, give you our thoughts as we take this 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo out for a spin. Please subscribe to the channel below before we get going here on Overdrive Reviews. We appreciate all the support so far. A big shout out to Platinum Mitsubishi Lancaster for letting us take this car out for the day. It is a beauty here in red diamond. Visit them at platinummitsupa.com. Without further ado, let's get moving, but let's start with pricing and models. So for 2022, the base price of the Eclipse Cross starts about $400 higher than it did in the past. The base ES about $24,590, which is still $2,000 cheaper than the base CX-5 or the base Honda CR-V. Now there are 4 trim levels available. You can opt up to any of them. The other prices include the LE, about $25,940, the SE, $27,340, and the top of the line SEL, $28,590. Now that's what this one is here. This red diamond Eclipse Cross is the SEL version, and you can add the touring package, which includes heated rear seats, a panoramic sunroof, heads-up display, the 8-speaker audio sound system, plus many options. Like I said, this one stickers for about $34,000, so it's about as loaded as you can get. Again, all the engines are the same across all the trim levels. Let's get under the hood and talk about what is underneath there. So no matter what Eclipse Cross you get, the engine is the same across all trim levels. A 4-cylinder turbo engine, 1.5 liter with 152 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. Now that's paired with an 8-speed continuously variable transmission with which actually has power that comes on pretty smoothly. The base front-wheel drive gets 26 city, 29 highway. The all-wheel drive about 25 city, 26 on the highway. So not a huge difference there if you do opt for Mitsubishi's super all-wheel control, which is what they call their all-wheel drive system. And you can actually opt up to all-wheel drive for $1,600 on any trim level, but obviously front-wheel drive is what the base ES comes with. Like I said, 5 inches longer for 2022. The wheelbase is the same though, but 5 inches longer over the predecessor. Let's go out front here. Kind of that dynamic shield that Mitsubishi is using across all of its models now. Look at that. Kind of really like pinched and cinched in the center. Really draws your attention to that center part of the car. Really nice sleek LED light there. Bright fog lights as well. Chrome trim all over the place. Check out this front lip spoiler. Look how cool that looks. Really sculpted, really nice, sporty, aggressive, glossy black trim all over the place. You've got one of the cameras here for the 360 camera system. A nice sloping hood here, more LED lights, fog lights as well. Very Mitsubishi look here with the fog lights and the LEDs. Let's go to the side here again. You've got 18-inch dual-tone alloy rims here. The base model a little bit smaller than this. This obviously is the SEL with the upgraded wheels. Bridgestone all-season tires on it as well. You've got the power folding side mirrors with another camera down there. Your turn indicators obviously here. You've got some black trim down at the bottom. Look at all the lines on the side of this thing. There are just lines everywhere. Everything kind of flows to the center, increasing aerodynamics and of course your fuel economy. You've got blacked out roof rails here with a big sunroof up top. And look at the back here as well. Kind of a quick back. It falls off and gives that Mitsubishi Eclipse classic look. You've got obviously the button here to tap on with the key to lock or unlock the car. I don't have the key in my pocket, so of course it's beeping at me right now. But overall, kind of the same base sort of look from the side for 2022, just a longer car, overall. Just look at the chunks of car that are missing from the side. It actually looks kind of cool. I mean, these wheel wells stick out a little bit further than the rest of the car, but it's the most aggressively styled and sporty styled Mitsubishi across their entire lineup here. So like I said at the beginning of the video, Mitsubishi for 2022 has eliminated that dual pane kind of split rear window for the Eclipse Cross, the newest Eclipse Cross, and that's good because it actually boosts visibility. The previous model had that split window and it kind of affected how much you could see out the back because there was a big bar blocking the driver's view, right? A much nicer design for 2022. You've got kind of an attempt at a diffuser down here at the bottom, Eclipse Cross across the entire back. You've got a huge emblem here as well, rear view camera. You've got these big column type brake lights, which are really, really nice. They kind of extend up the side of the car, very kind of Scandinavian and very, very visible out on the road. So you kind of automatically know exactly what you're looking at if you're ever behind one of these things. Again, this red diamond paint looks just amazing on this. This rear spoiler too just increases the already sportiness of this Eclipse Cross. All the way around, Mitsubishi has infused that sporty, aggressive styling for 2022 and really kind of amped up how nice and appealing this car really is. You've got some deflectors down here as well for the cars that are behind you. The rear liftgate here is not power. I wish it was power for 34,000 bucks. It is not. You have to manually lift it. Not the end of the world, but it should be power for $34,000, right? It's the SEL after all. Inside, decent cargo room, about 23.4 cubic feet of space, with the second row down about 50 cubic feet of space. So some nice room actually in a relatively small compact crossover SUV. This SEL does have the privacy cover here to cover up all of your valuables if you'd like. It retracts really easily too. Down here you've got a spare tire underneath this board. This kind of feels a little bit flimsy, so be careful if you get one of these things not to put anything too heavy on top of it because it might bend and then it's kind of warped and nobody wants that. There's some decent space back here, maybe 3 or 4 large suitcases, not a ton of room, but all in all a really nice redesign for 2022. I think they did a great job with these lights back here and all the little additions of the black glossy trim all over the place. The Eclipse Cross name spans the length of the rear here, the SEL badging, of course. Look at that swooping rear pane of glass. It's like a 45-degree angle. It's so sharp. Really gives this car a unique look, instantly recognizable out on the road. Let's talk safety real quick. There are more than half a dozen airbags stuffed into the inside of this 2022 Eclipse Cross, including a driver knee airbag. You don't see that in every car, but your knees will be protected if you're driving in the event of an accident, right? There is also a pretty impressive list of standard safety features, things like lane departure warning, automatic emergency braking, forward collision mitigation. All those things are standard for 2022. You can opt up to things like adaptive cruise control and automatic high beams. Let's talk safety for your pocket. 10-year, 100,000-mile limited new car warranty. The best in the business. Every new car has one, but this car here is pretty much loaded with everything you could have, including blind spot monitoring too. All in all, pretty impressive list of standard safety features and available safety features for 2022. What do you say we hop inside and see what awaits us there? So, climbing inside, door check first. Nice, no rattles at all. A really decent cockpit in here. It looks kind of the same as far as the layout of it. It doesn't look any different really from the previous model. What is different though is this screen here. It's now an 8-inch screen on the higher models. Only the ES has a 7-inch touchscreen and infotainment screen. All of the other ones, the SE, the LE, the SEL, all have an 8-inch one. This also has the Mitsubishi Power sound system, which is actually really nice. It thumps really hard. The Rockford Fosgate is not available. I think Mitsubishi, for some reason, is phasing that out. So let's dive into some of the features and the buttons and the fun things that are up here in the cockpit of this SEL 2022 Eclipse Cross. So if you've seen other Mitsubishi reviews or been in one recently, the steering wheel is very familiar to you. Nothing really changes there at all. This one just happens to have more buttons on it. All of your different phone and talking options over here with audio. Over here you've got your adaptive cruise control and cruise control buttons entirely. Large. Look at the size of these paddle shifters here. Look how large from the side. Look at them. they're like 6 inches long. That's classic Mitsubishi as well. They've been doing this for years on the Outlander and the Outlander Sport as well. You do have a heads-up display on this particular SEL Touring model. Over here, all the buttons you'll ever need for any sort of crash mitigation, lane departure warning. Your heads-up display stuff is right there as well. You can change how high it is, change what information is in there. Pretty standard for most heads-up displays. That heads-up display, by the way, super easy. Just push the button down here that says HUD, heads-up display, and it pops right open and reveals itself. There it is. Some car companies have it, projected right onto the windshield for you. Mitsubishi does it a little bit differently. I don't really care to have a big screen right in front of my face to have heads-up display, but it is a cool little feature that you're getting on a more affordable, smaller car. Just to push that button again, and it will retract and go back into its little hiding cubby right on the dash. You also have automatic windows on every single window, not just the power automatic up and down for the passenger and driver, but also for the rear passengers too, automatic all the way around. You've got your mirror buttons right here, which is kind of an odd place, in my opinion, to have your window or to have your mirror buttons right where you are going to be grabbing. Usually those are like, up here somewhere or further up above the window switches, but I digress. Some cheaper plastic here on the sides and up here on the dash as well. It's kind of the classic cheap black plastic that a lot of cars put in. It's not soft to the touch. It is relatively hard. So not the nicest material there, easily scratches, easily gets, dirt and grime kind of left on them, so be wary of that. Down here, though, where your arm will rest is a nice padded kind of faux leather option here, nicely stitched as well. There is some glossy black trim around the bottom of the steering wheel here. Nice grippers, though, on that steering wheel. I'm not going to complain too much about that. You've got more glossy black trim here around the center cup holder and around the gear shifter as well, but as you can see, easily shows fingerprints, so be wary of that too. I do love the added kind of brushed aluminum trim that they've put on both sides here for 2022. It looks much nicer than the previous version does, and you'll notice, if you're familiar with the Eclipse Cross, that the trackpad is gone. There used to be a trackpad that you controlled the screen with, and that is gone. It was so cumbersome to use. It wasn't really all that sensitive. It wasn't too responsive, so they have gotten rid of it for 2022, and I say thumbs up to that. Down here, you've got your heated steering wheel button, eco modes, 2 USB ports, all of your automatic climate zone controls there as well. The car is not on right now because I'm inside a dealership and I don't want to kill anybody with all of the fumes, but we can actually just tap this on twice, and I think, yep, this will all come on. What is new while we're waiting for the car to start up, look at the speedometers. They finally redesigned the look in the font of the letters and the numbers that they use, much, much nicer. Mitsubishi kind of behind the game compared to other car companies with the lack of digital in their gauge cluster. They still have 2 analog speedometer and tachometer readouts. There's only a little bit of digital in the center here, and it's pretty basic. There's not much you can do with it. Your fuel, your engine temperature, your mileage, that kind of stuff. I wish there was more digital happening in here for 2022, but I can't have everything right. So here, the 8-inch touchscreen, again, new for 2022 on the higher end models. Still kind of basic though. There's not a lot to it. You can't, change ambient lighting. You can't, change the lock sound, change the outside lighting. It's pretty standard. What is built in though is navigation. Let's push that. And there's a nice built-in navigation system on the particular model that I'm in, the SEL. There is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay available on every model that has the 8-inch screen. I don't believe it's available on those with the 7-inch screen. Let's talk about the responsiveness of this. To me, you have to push kind of harder than I would, I guess, like or suspect you would have to get the thing to do what you want. You can see down there, let me turn the lights on. Yeah, you can see home, navigation, media, and phone all light up. At the bottom is kind of your quick keys to go to the main things that you'll use the most, which is nice. It's relatively responsive. It's just not as sensitive and as to the touch and to the point as some screens are. What's really cool, though, is under info, you can get all kinds of readouts, your history of your drive, your fuel consumption, all kinds of things here under info. Everything else pretty self-explanatory. Phone, navigation, multimedia, settings, you can change things like, the bass, the equalizer, the surround sound. This does have, as I said, the Mitsubishi power sound system, which sounds really decent. I believe it's an 8-speaker sound system compared to the base one. You do have the speakers in the doors. You've got some speakers in the back as well. Let's talk about the side doors here while we're over here. Glossy black trim around the handle there. You've got a nice big gripper of a handle there too. Kind of carbon fiber-esque, faux carbon fiber type stuff around the window switches over there. Nice size pocket on each door for storing stuff. In the center console here, you've got more cup holders too. You've got another little pocket over there with more things in it. And it's shining red because there's a little red light down in there to kind of give you some little bit of ambient lighting. And these seats, let's talk about those. Really, really comfortable. They're decently bolstered. I always talk about bolstered seats because sometimes you fall out of the seat if the seat isn't gripping and conforming enough to your body. It looks really nice. No complaints there. I do wish that the seats were a little bit softer and more high quality feeling. Again, for $34,000, the seat should feel a little bit nicer than it does. It looks nicer than it feels, in my opinion. It still feels kind of cheap. They are heated up here, heated front seats, high-low options. In the center here, you do have that parking brake auto hold, obviously for if you're in stop-and-go traffic. You've got your super all-wheel control right there as well. A nicely sized sunroof, which is open to give me more light right now. A nice wind screen as well, which pops up and down whenever the sunroof opens. There's actually a rear part too, which you really can't see right now, but like there is a rear part to this kind of sunroof. It is a panoramic sunroof. It's just not fully open at the moment. You've got the sunshade just by itself. You've got the actual roof. So a lot of options that you might not get in a lower end Mitsubishi, but they are in this SEL touring package Eclipse Cross. Overall, a nice, comfortable place to be. There's a lot of technology built into this thing, which is really cool because previous Mitsubishi Eclipse Crosses were supposed to be super heavy on the tech, and some of it, like that little touchpad, just made it less than satisfactory, a little bit underwhelming. But for 2022, they did a nice job. Let's get into the back seat. Here in the back seat, a comfortable place to be. There's not a large hump like most four-wheel drive cars or all-wheel drive cars have. The hump is super minimal. Sorry about the between the leg shot, but someone taller like me could very well sit in the middle seat. Overall, let's talk about headroom and legroom in the back and in the front. In the front, there is 39.5 inches of headroom, 37.3 in the rear. Legroom in the front, 40.9 inches of legroom up front, 35.3 inches of rear legroom. So there's not a ton of room back here, but don't let that fool you. There is decent amount of room for someone who's a little bit taller, and especially obviously for someone who's smaller, there's plenty of room. Like I said before, this is a really nice back seat, kind of basic, but what's not basic, these are heated seats here in the back. They're not a standard option, but this car does have heated rear seats. Right there's the button for it. There's 2 buttons on either side, 2 different settings, high and low, which is a nice touch. Not many Mitsubishis have heated rear seats, but for 2022, Mitsubishi said, peace to the outdatedness, in with the heated seats, right? Over there on the side, you can see the doors already open. That same glossy black material with the handle, the kind of chrome, shiny handle there. The seats, comfortable as well. You got a center console, little armrest here with 2 really small cup holders in it. It's not a large handrest or armrest at all. It's actually really kind of small, but it does fold right up nicely in there. The seat's comfortable, firm, not as squishy as the front seats are, not as comfortable as the front seats are. And again, you do have to watch that swooping rear kind of roof line. This isn't super, super swooping, but it's swooping enough that I can feel my hat and the top of my head kind of touching, but you're surrounded by airbags back here. You've got different handles on both sides. Other than just the tightness of the back seat, which you can get over if people are small enough, my only complaint is that there's no USB port back here. No USB at all. You've got heated seats, but no USB port. That's a thumbs down from me for the rear of this 2022 Eclipse Cross. So one of the first things you'll notice about driving the 2022 Eclipse Cross that it feels very similar to previous models. So if you've been in one, you've kind of been in all of them thus far. The engine is noisier than I would like it to be. You do have that 8-speed CVT, the continuously variable transmission, and it does moan and whine a little bit more than my liking whenever you hit the accelerator. Again, 152 horsepower, 4-cylinder turbo engine, so there's definitely enough get up and go. I don't have any problem merging or getting onto, a ramp on a highway or something like that. So there's definitely plenty of power to merge for everyday type of driving. But I do wish there wasn't such a moan and a groan from the engine here. Let's do some initial acceleration here from like kind of a really, really slow start. Let's hit the gas. Definitely some turbo lag from that small 4-cylinder turbo engine. Some decent pick up and go, like I said. If you're looking for a quick car, this is not it. If you want something that's affordable with a economical 4-cylinder turbo, this is definitely an option. It's a really, really cool looking car. It feels nice on the inside. It feels bigger on the inside than it looks on the outside, in my opinion. The driving position is nice. The seats are comfortable. The fuel economy is good, 25, 26 city, depending on what options you do get, all-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive. You instantly notice that the car is built for comfort versus sport. You're not going to be going around corners super quick in a 2022 Eclipse Cross. Even though it looks sporty, it doesn't really have the underpinnings for a sport thoroughbred type vehicle. That being said, it's a comfortable ride. The shocks and the springs have been retuned for ride quality. They're soft over bumps. They do soak up some imperfections relatively nicely, going through some kind of rural country back roads here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The ride quality is nice. There's a little bit of body roll around corners, which is expected. It's a taller vehicle, but speaking of being a taller vehicle, you actually have a nice view of the road, a nice view of the cars around you. You sit up relatively high. These seats are comfortable and kind of put you at an authoritative position. I feel in control of the car. The steering wheel's a little loose. I would say some understeer here around tighter corners. The lane departure warning system works really well. I don't know if you can hear it beeping at me, but even the slightest mistake of going out of the lines, the car will beep at you and kind of flash that you are supposed to be getting back into the center of your lane, which is good. That's a good safety feature to have and a good one to be sensitive. I also want to talk about a system or an app called What 3 Words. It essentially is a navigation tool that's built into certain Eclipse Crosses. It's available for 2022. It's the first car to have it, and it essentially divides the world into quadrants and little sections, and it basically helps you find areas of interest easier than just typing it into your navigation system. Things like the entrance to a big venue or the entrance to some kind of store that doesn't have a physical address. It's called What 3 Words, and it's available on the Eclipse Cross. A really nice feature to help you find harder to locate venues, locations, buildings, that kind of stuff. You do hear the engine whenever you hit the gas. Here we go. You definitely can tell there's a turbo engine under the hood. It could use more power. This is a subcompact SUV still, but it's big enough that it should have a larger engine, in my opinion. 152 horsepower isn't all that much when you're towing around 5 people, plus their luggage if you've got a full car. Let's test out the brakes here. Really nice. Grip really fast. A little bit of pushback on the brake pedal. I'm not sure if that's because this car's been sitting for a bit, but really, really nice feel there. And this road is closed. Let me turn around. But again, built for comfort, not built for sport. It's a calm, easy ride though. Going in and out of city traffic here, going into some more country type traffic. It definitely has a calmer, more subdued ride despite the aggressive, sporty styling. And as I said before at the beginning of the video, every single trim level has the same engine, 1.5 liter, 152 horsepower across the board. So no matter which one you get, the experience driving is the same. The steering as I go around a corner here relatively slowly is loose, soft almost. It's not a precise, it's not a sporty type steering feel at all. And Mitsubishi is known for, their cars that have off-road capabilities. I mean, all those years of the Lancer Evolution and their rally cars, this particular one I'm driving does have that super all-wheel control. So an easy driver, especially in congested traffic conditions. It's small and nimble enough to get around traffic quickly, dart in and out of alleyways, to cut off traffic time. And a nice feel too over the bumps. You'll feel the bigger ones, but it's definitely a softer, more subdued, calm ride than I guess I was expecting. And also new for 2022, I want to mention the screen has actually been moved closer to the driver for easier access. Mitsubishi thought, hey, our previous screens were too far away, and I could definitely echo that concern. I also do enjoy the new speedometer and the tachometer, like I told you before. It's been redesigned to give it an update finally for 2022. I just left a stoplight, and obviously you've got to get up some speed whenever you are coming from a stop. The engine is just a little bit noisier upon initial acceleration. Once you're up at speed, you don't really hear the engine a whole lot unless you mash on the gas, but from a standstill to get going, the engine's noisier than it should be for a $30,000 plus car. Now, there is a manual mode. You can kind of shift over the gear shifter to the left and, you know, the plus and minus as in most cars. And if your car is equipped with it, the paddle shifters. But there is no like sport mode that I can find anywhere. The car is just kind of in eco mode all the time. And then when you hit the gas pedal enough, it gets rid of the eco symbol. And I guess maybe you're in normal sport mode. I don't know. There's no actual sport button to change the driving mode, which again, as sporty as the car looks, there should be a sport mode option. But all in all, a really, really nice redesign for 2022. A big fan of the new front, a big fan of the new rear. Visibility out the back and the sides is great because of that eliminated split rear window. A big shout out again to the folks at Platinum Mitsubishi in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Visit them at platinummitsupa.com. They sell hundreds of cars a month. A great sales team there. Thank you to them for letting us borrow this car for the day. And thank you all for watching at home. If you like this video and have found it helpful, please hit that like button and smash the subscribe button below here on Overdrive Reviews. I appreciate all the support so far, and all those subscriptions and all those people liking and engaging really helps us out. I appreciate it so very much, and it costs you nothing, by the way, so please like and subscribe below. I think that's it for this review of this redesigned 2022 Eclipse Cross. We'll see all you folks next time.